Hi everyone. Today we have Abhinav. He's from University of Minnesota and will be discussing his journey with the aspirant. How are you doing, Abhinav?
I'm doing good. Thanks for
Thank
having me.
you. Yeah, I'm good too. Thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate your willingness to help aspirant. So let's begin with your educational background. Tell us from where did you do your bachelor's and what is the subject of specialization in your master's?
I'm from India and I did my bachelor's from Birla Institute of Technology and Sciences in India.
Mm-hmm.
My major was in computer science, and I did my thesis during my bachelor's in the area of computer vision, and I'm focusing on computer vision and machine learning during my master's as well.
Okay, all right. And tell us about the colleges that you applied in United States, and was there a particular reason you chose this university over others?
Sure. So I did a lot of research and I went to a lot of university websites. I used Jocket as well, and going through all the list of all the universities and going through the rankings and publication and research that happens in every university. I made a
Mm-hmm.
list of rankings, and then I chose a few universities from the top 10 ranks, a few universities of the top 10 to 20 ranks, and then a few from 20 to 30 ranks, just to make sure that my chances are diversified. And then
Mm-hmm.
after applying, I applied to UT Austin, Georgia Tech from the top 10. I also applied to UCLA and CMU. From 10 to 20, I applied from UPenn, I applied to UCLA, sorry, not UCLA, UCS, and then I applied
Mm-hmm.
to Maryland and Wisconsin Medicine. And then I also applied to University of Minnesota and University of Ohio
Okay.
State. Yeah. So yes, that's the university that I applied to. I got admit from UPenn and University of Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a hard choice for me to which one to use, because UPenn is a really great university, it's one of the
Mm-hmm.
Olympics university, but due to financial constraint and due to University of Minnesota being more open to funding for master student,
Okay.
I chose University of Minnesota.
So were you given any grants or scholarship by University of Minnesota over UPenn?
Not exactly. One big difference which I found out after I got my admits was that in university, in UPenn, if you get a
Mm.
leadership or teaching assistantship or a research assistantship, you don't get any tuition benefit.
Okay.
And yes, but in University of Minnesota, if a master student gets a teaching assistantship or a research assistantship, they do get tuition benefit.
So
Apart from
they,
that,
uh-huh.
you can also apply for research assistantship outside your department. You can go
Okay.
to the Department of Public Health, Department of Electricity, Electrical
Mm-hmm.
Engineering, and then there you can find jobs where you using your coding skills can contribute.
Okay, perfect. And also, this is a good strategy, I believe, to choose, from top 10, top 20, and top 30 universities, and and then apply. So this would be a very useful, input. Now let's talk about. So in your criteria, the tuition fee waiver, which was due to getting TA or RA job, was one of the criteria for choosing Minnesota over UPenn. So I want to understand, other than that, what all suggestions, or in your opinion, what criteria should a student should keep while choosing the right university when they have admit from multiple universities?
Yes. So I think it's very dependent on what the students are expecting from their graduate studies, masters or
Mm-hmm.
PhD. So if they are expecting to do research along with their masters, they might not. They might want to look at various departments within the university and what kind of research is happening in the research areas. Then there's a group of students who just want to expand their career options and just come to US and work in US for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
For them, it might make more sense to apply more on the in the universities which are on the coast, especially one in California. So
Okay.
if you're applying to a university in California, your education cost, the cost will increase because it's very expensive. The cost of living
Mm-hmm.
is very high in California, and the funding chances might also decrease, but it will be much easier for you to get a job. and then as soon as you get a job, you can start repaying back. But
Okay.
for students who are more interested in research, and especially the master students who are a little confused if they want to go for a PhD and continue with research or join industry, it makes more sense to go to universities which have good, strong research, so strong research labs, and are focusing more on the research that they want to work in.
Okay. Tell us about your GRE and TOEFL preparation. Did you enroll into any classroom or online classes, and for how many months did you prepare for these exams?
Uh, when it comes to GRE, I think 1 month of dedicated preparation is good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, my verbal was a little weak, but my cons was pretty good. So I focused mostly on improving my verbal vocabulary and verbal knowledge, and practicing a lot of verbal questions during that 1 month.
Okay.
And I did not take any coaching. And most of my friends who have applied also didn't take any coaching. I don't think that coaching is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of material online, and the GRE prep guide by ETC is also really good.
Mm-hmm.
What For me, it's as simple as just taking. I have friends who have taken Makush, but
Mm-hmm.
that was not essentially coaching. They've just taken the prep material and done it by themselves.
Okay.
And yes, for GRE, I feel especially for verbal section, it's good to just take one word list and
Mm-hmm.
memorize around 1,000, at least 1,000 words. And once you're good with it, start practicing with questions. Practice
Okay.
as many reading comprehensions as possible, as many verbal sections, quant sections. And since GR is a long test, it's a 3 hour long test, and by the time
Mm-hmm.
people are applying for masters, it's been long since they sat for 3 hours long tests. So it's
Mm-hmm.
important to practice for 3 or 4 hours and then give full long tests. With that
Mm-hmm.
in mind, there are some services which do offer practice tests a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
I think I took Manhattan's test series. They gave 5 or 6 tests. They were good enough. If so, I would say just memorize around 1,000 words and keep giving full tests. That would
Okay.
definitely helpful. Yeah.
That would help. So, if you don't mind, would you like to tell us about your GRE score and if your university had any cutoff for admission in computer science for when it comes to GRE?
Yes, I don't remember. I think my GRE score was around 329.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I got I think 328. I don't remember the one.
Okay.
It was 156 and 168. I think how much that is.
Okay.
Yeah. So according to me, the cutoff it's not. So how does it work? When I researched, was that most of the universities do
Mm-hmm.
have cutoffs for GRE, but after the cutoff, the GRE score does not matter that much. So
Okay.
as long as you're clearing the cutoff of a particular university, and they have separate cutoffs, a cutoff for a verbal and a cutoff for quant, and as long
Okay.
as you're clearing the cutoffs, you are good to go. A lot of universities
Mm-hmm.
do put up their average GRE score of the candidates after the whole cycle has gone through. So like if people are applying this year, they can see 2019, 2020, or 2018's
Okay.
average score of the selected candidates. So they can
Mm-hmm.
get a good idea of if you are above average, mostly you will qualify the cutoff. If you're below
Okay.
average, it's not a big problem, but yeah, it'll be good to be above average of the particular university for that particular university.
Mm-hmm. And in your opinion, what plays a major role in getting admission in your university in particular? Is it your GPA or is this your GRE?
I think for my university, projects played a good role.
Okay.
My projects, my some of the things that I've worked on, the research. I have friends who have had not so good GPAs. I mean, in the area of 7 or 8, and
Mm-hmm.
they were selected. So I think projects and your interest, inclination towards what the university offers and how you can contribute to the university by helping professors with their research plays a good
Okay.
role in for University of Minnesota. but there are definitely universities where a good preference is given to GPA and sometimes to GRE as well.
Okay. Now let's talk about your visa interview. So, how did you prepare for your visa interview? And if you have any tips or suggestion that you would like to give to aspirants?
Sure. For me, I gave my visa interview in Chennai, India,
Mm-hmm.
and for I, it's normal to be nervous about it. Everyone is nervous about it, and everyone will
Mm-hmm.
tell you that it's easy and you will definitely clear it, but you will always be nervous about it. So I got a compiled list of visa questions that had been asked past 2 3 years. I think I got it on Yocket's Facebook page
Mm-hmm.
or some other. There are a good number of Facebook pages which help with these a lot of these things, and then there's Edulix community, which is also really good. So I got
Okay.
a compiled list of these such visa questions, and I went through them. I had my answers ready. I made sure that all my documents are there. There are a lot of documents which you can carry, and they will not be required at all, but I would say you should carry, because that gives you a little bit of confidence that you are ready with whatever they might ask you. So
Okay.
yeah, that's just simply how I prepared for my visa interview. I just went through a lot of questions, and Yocket, I think Yocket's Facebook page, or there are, as I mentioned, a lot of Facebook page where people are putting up their experience as and when they give the interview. So that
Okay.
also helps, that gets to give you an idea of how things are going, and if
Mm-hmm.
you would have qualified or not, and how. Yeah.
Okay. And did you take the help of any, private agencies or consultant when it comes to admission process, including visa interview?
No, for me, I didn't take any help from any private institute
Mm-hmm.
for that. I did know that there are some institutes, but for me, I was confident because I had talked to my seniors,
Mm-hmm.
and they had given me guidance, and they told me that they were able to get guidance from their seniors, and that it worked out for them. So
Okay.
I was confident that with their help, it should work out for me as well.
Okay. And let's talk about student loan. So did you take any student loan for your master's? If yes, from which bank and how was the process?
I did take a loan, and I took the loan from Prodigy Finance.
Mm-hmm.
It's an international organization, mostly based in London, and they are able to give loan online. So the reason I went with Prodigy Finance and not with a national bank is Prodigy Finance can give you a loan without any uh, collateral or
Okay.
personal. Yes. So I didn't want to. I wanted to bear the whole burden by myself. I didn't want to involve my parents in anything. So that's why I went with Prodigy. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I did research a lot, and I went through a lot of the interest rates of a lot of national banks and like SBI from India, like SBI,
Mm-hmm.
and then I went through some private institutions also, which to give student loans. Like I think HDFC Bank has corollary private institution. I forgot it was something from C.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of institutions which can offer loans, and it's a good idea. I had to go with Prodigy because of the constraints that I mentioned. But if
Mm-hmm.
you don't mind going with that, going for a national bank is a really good idea. They can be much more secure, and they might have a little more interest as compared to international banks. But
Mm-hmm.
when you start earning the change in uh, dollar to rupee or rupee to dollar rates can compensate for those interests. So it's possible that
Okay.
when you took the loan, the dollar to rupee rate was 75, but when you started paying it back, the dollar to rupee rate changed to 80 or something. And
Mm-hmm.
since now you're earning in dollars and paying back in rupees, that can be very helpful.
Well, this is really helpful. A different way of calculation other than you
Yeah.
going with the one which gives you the loan at the least rate. So let's talk about campus. How tell us about the campus size and other infrastructure inside.
Honestly speaking, I might not know the area-wise the campus size, but
Mm-hmm.
it's really nice. University of Minnesota has two campuses actually. Actually, it has some four campuses, and one in Duluth, Rochester, Twin Cities, and St. Paul. St. Paul is part of Twin Cities only. So, engineering and computer science school is in the Twin Cities department campus, and it's a really nice campus. It's really
Okay.
big, and Mississippi River flows throughout in between the campus, and there's a
Mhm.
West Bank part of the campus, and there's a East Bank part of the campus. So it's really good. It's really beautiful. The architecture is really nice, and it's
Okay.
very peaceful and green. So it's nice.
So now coming to environment, how is the general environment inside the campus? Is it like very happening, studious? So how is that?
uh, I think the campus life here offers whatever you want it to offer. So if you want to be very outgoing and you want to be part of the clubs, there's definitely options for that. Especially in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, when we came, there were a lot of clubs hosting dinners and meetups, so that more and more people can come and join them and learn about them, and if interested, be part of
Mm-hmm.
the clubs. And then there's definitely a lot of study spaces also. If you want to focus on your studies, there are
Mm-hmm.
areas, there are again clubs which are very focused on that as well. Like for example, if I'm very interested in working on competitive programming, uh, University of Minnesota has its own ACM chapter, and you can just go and ask them for guidance or join them as well. And then there are clubs for all sorts of things.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
And from studies or research perspective, I think
Mm-hmm.
students might be more interested in going to labs and talking to the professors. And
Okay.
I felt that the professors here are very approachable.
Mm-hmm.
You can always go and talk to them regarding your research, what you are interested in, and if they can offer you some kind of project where you can learn from what the professor is working on and contribute to his research at the same time.
Okay. Now that you're talking about clubs, I want to know if I mean, if there are a few clubs that you want to mention whom you consider to be your favorite ones.
Honestly, I am more on the studious type. I didn't go
Mm.
to a clubs. There are a lot of since I'm from India. There are two clubs which are specifically have focus on Indian community. There is
Mm-hmm.
Bharat. They do organize Bollywood dances and dandiya nights, and it's really fun.
Okay.
But I'm more interested in I wanted more to focus more on my research. I do like to play
Okay.
badminton. There's no club,
Okay.
but there is a badminton court, and there's a lot of people who can go and interact with them and play with them.
Okay. Now tell us if the university is famous for any of its program or sports activity in specific.
Uh, University is famous for its. I'm not so sure which sports, but the people here are very active about sports. So one of the things about University of Minnesota is that the weather can be very extreme, and that could be one of the criteria when people are selecting their university, that
Mm-hmm.
you want to go to extreme weathers. But it was not that the case for me. So the weathers can be very extreme, but I've seen people go and support their teams, football teams, basketball teams, even in extreme weathers. Like it's an open stadium, it's an open football
Mm-hmm.
stadium, and it's snowing all day, but still they would go out and scream for their for favorite football teams and cheer them on.
Okay.
So people here are very enthusiastic about sports, and it's really
Mm-hmm.
nice and good to see.
Okay. Now let's talk about the facilities that the university offer to its student, and let's begin with lab and library facilities if you can talk about it.
Sure. I think from the standpoint of facilities, especially libraries, it's really nice. There are multiple libraries where each library can pertain to certain departments' interests. Like for us, computer science department, there's a library called Water Library, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really beautiful. It's well maintained. There's computers, internet connection, basic necessities of any library is definitely there, but it does offer a lot of study spaces. You can book your own rooms, and one thing which I really liked was that we can book our own rooms and they'll be completely silent. So for
Okay.
me, I had to give a lot of interviews for internships last year, and
Mm-hmm.
so I needed a space where I can't be disturbed for a certain period of time, and I'm sure I won't be disturbed, and it's completely quiet, and I can give interview with full concentration. So there,
Okay.
those things really helped me. The labs are really good. They have
Mm-hmm.
the latest and state of the art equipment, and the state of the art work is happening, and a lot of work is happening in the field of robotics, computer vision, and machine learning. So
Mm-hmm.
as I've said, the professors are really approachable. You can always approach any of the professors. Just go through their webpage and see what kind of research they are doing. And if you are inclined, or attend any of their courses. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
inclined towards their research, you can always approach them and talk to them what you want to work on, what kind of
Mm-hmm.
projects they have, and how you can contribute and help them with their research.
Okay. And tell us about gym and recreational facilities inside university.
University has its own recreational center. It's
Mm-hmm.
closed as of now because of the COVID, but of course, it's really good. Me, especially because of my seniors. My seniors. So every semester we are supposed to take around 15 units, and most of the times, because of the graduate courses can be hectic, people end up taking hardly 9 or 12 units.
Mm-hmm.
So most of my seniors, one thing that I really liked, they suggested was take 1 or 2 physical education courses. So I've taken basketball, I've taken badminton, and I was
Okay.
planning to take swimming also. So it's really fun. You get to interact with people from different ethnicities. You play with them, and if you take an early morning class, it helps you build a discipline. So for me, my
Mm-hmm.
basketball class was at 8 a.m. and I even in extreme winters when outside it was like minus 20 degrees Celsius, I used to wake up and go at 8 o'clock. So it was
Okay.
really nice. The facilities are
Mm-hmm.
also really nice. There's basketball courts, squash courts, badminton courts, everything is nice.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now let's talk about healthcare and medical facilities inside university. If the university has a full-fledged working hospital, how do medical needs of student gets catered?
University does have a full-fledged. I would not say full-fledged hospital. It's mostly a clinic. It's called Barton Clinic, and it
Mm-hmm.
can take care of most of the needs as required. But even that is very much within the campus. But even there are a lot of full-fledged hospitals very close to the campus. There's one like 1 block away from where currently I'm living,
Mm-hmm.
and the insurance offered by the universities does take in these hospitals do consider it, so that's really nice. And
Okay.
if needed, we can always go to any of these hospitals and just show our insurance card and get
All right.
treatment.
And how good is the career center and career service facilities in the university?
The career center and the facilities are good.
Mm-hmm.
People are knowledgeable and they're nice. It's just that since University of Minnesota is not located, it's a little middle north, right? It's far
Mm-hmm.
from both of the coasts, from the east and the
East
west.
and the west, yeah.
Yes. So what can happen is a lot of the companies which are located on the eastern coast might not come in the career fair,
Mm-hmm.
but they do consider the students. So it's possible that they don't come in the career fair, but you can always apply. And a University of Minnesota has a very good reputation. And most of the times when you apply, they do come back. And they do consider your resume, and if they like your resume, they will move forward with the application.
Okay. And now coming to your on-campus job that you were talking about. So I want to know, as you said, it is fairly easy to get into TAs and RA as you don't have to stick to your department in specific. So I want to know if you have done any on-campus job and how easy is to get into these on-campus jobs.
Uh, so for me, I have done a research assistantship. I've been doing it since the first semester here in fall,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been working with a professor from the Department of Public Health. She's an
Mm-hmm.
epidemiologist, and I've been contributing to her work because mostly most of the code for her simulation models has been in Java.
Okay.
So I was lucky enough to get it from the very get-go, but for most of my seniors and most of the other students, what happens is that the number of TAs, teaching assistantship and research assistant position. I'll talk about them separately. First, I'll talk about teaching assistantship positions. Most of the teaching assistantship positions in the Department of Computer Science, at least, are limited. So it's hard to
Okay.
get them. It's hard to get them in your very first semester when you've not studied in any of the courses here and you don't have teaching experience here. But when you move to your second year,
Mm.
almost everyone, at least in the computer science batch, are able to get teaching assistantship within the CS
Okay.
department, because a lot of students graduate also, so that creates space for new students to get teaching assistantship. Coming to research assistantship, research assistantship is one thing which you can look for outside your department. You can go to
Okay.
geospatial research, hospitals, and population centers. You can go to public health. You can go to aeronauticals. All sorts of
Mm-hmm.
departments are there. There's two mediums. One medium is an online job portal which opens up all the jobs, and you can keep a track of what is available. And you can then, once you know that there's a job opening, you can just simply email the professor or apply online as well. And if your resume matches, they can contact you. Other thing what you can do is you can look for people who are working in the area that you're interested in. Like if you're interested in robotics, there's a lot of good research happening in mechanical department as well, and then the aeronautical department as well on UAVs. So you can approach the professors working there and you can tell them that you have done this kind of work in the past and you can contribute in this way, and you can create space for yourself. So that is one way where you can put in effort to make sure that you get a research assistantship. So that
Okay.
you may have to put these efforts if you want to get it in your very first semester. But most of the
Mm-hmm.
times, like 90-95% of the times, students do get their teaching assistantship in their respective departments, at least for computer science, after their first year.
Okay. And you were lucky enough to get it right from the beginning when you
Yeah,
joined.
yes, I
Okay,
was lucky enough. Yeah.
that's good. And let's talk about internship. How easy is to get the internship, and if you did internship in specific with any company, and so if you can talk about that.
Sure. Internships, from internship point of view, I would say that it's good to apply as soon as possible. Uh, it it depends actually every year. There's cycles of hiring, and on some years some of the companies might not be hiring, and on some years that everyone is hiring. From
Mm-hmm.
University of Minnesota's perspective, since I've mentioned this earlier also, we are a little far from the coast.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the time we will have to apply online. The companies that come to career fairs are mostly local companies, and there's a lot of scope there as well. But since they're not big enough, they might not be ready to sponsor your H1B if you do get
Okay.
a full-time offer there.
Mm-hmm.
So when you apply online, it's better to apply as soon as possible. If you're joining in fall, it will be good to apply before end of October. And when I say it's good, it'll be good to apply. I mean that you should have a certain grasp on your. You should be ready to give interviews. Your resume should be ready, and you should have a basic prep uh,
Okay.
uh, to give the interviews.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I gave a lot of interviews, but one thing that I missed was that I was not prepared well enough for them, because
Okay.
I was very focused. It's hard to manage your courses, and this is the first time that you're coming from India, so you have to manage a lot of other things as well. And
Mm-hmm.
then I had my research assistantships also. So
Okay.
somewhere down the line, I missed my prep. That's why I'm saying that it's important to do the prep, and especially in India, if you have 1 or 2 months free time before coming here, you can start doing some preparation for internship processes. I did.
Maybe for that reason, if those students who work in India and then come and do masters here get an upper hand
Yes,
comparatively. Yeah.
that is definitely there. If you
Mm.
do have work experience, you get an upper hand, because internship is a very it's a job for a very brief amount of time. So if you do
Mm-hmm.
get an internship at Google and Amazon, you hardly have around 12 weeks or 10 weeks to contribute to their team, right? So if out of that, if 3 or 4 weeks they're teaching you what to do and how to do it, you've already
Yeah.
lost like one third of your time. So it's definitely good if you have work experience, and that means you can learn it as soon as possible, like within 1 or 2 weeks.
Okay.
That helps.
All right. And I also want to know if there are special restriction for international student when it comes to becoming eligible for internship.
I
Is
don't
there a
think
minimum number of credit that they have to complete or semesters that they have to take?
I it's not for University of Minnesota, as far
Okay.
as I know. One
Mm-hmm.
thing is there that some universities, especially in California, do offer co-op. Co-op is essentially where you can work with a company while doing your work with a company outside your campus while doing your
Okay.
masters for 1 or 2
Mm-hmm.
semesters. So that way you can get paid while studying,
Mm-hmm.
and that is offered in some campuses in California. University of Minnesota also offers it, but for electrical department, the CS department does not offer co-ops.
Okay. And other than the courses that a student take in their uh, in their tenure when they're studying in the university, would you like to recommend any additional coursework that can help incoming student to improve their chances of getting into internship or jobs?
Um, I would. I'm not sure if there's courses which can from the very which can help from the mindset of getting an internship or a job. The
Mm-hmm.
universities do offer a lot of resources, which a lot of time students don't utilize. Like you can always go to a career center and get your resume looked at once. They can give you tips about what things you can change in your resume. It's because
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of international students, there's a cultural shift when you're coming from India or China to US, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way the people look at your resume, the way you're supposed to apply can be very different. So it's good to go to you utilize these resources. Go to your career center, get your resume looked at least once, and then there's always language centers as well, which will help you specifically for resume, cover letters, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you can always approach them. Feel free to show them your cover letters and talk to them about your internship experience, interview experiences, and get tips on what went right, what went wrong, what could be changed from the
Mm-hmm.
past.
Okay. Now let's talk about your favorite professor. Who is your favorite professor and what is that you really like about him or her?
I honestly speaking, I my favorite professor would be Professor Chang Yu Cho.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually he's in electrical department. I took his course on robot vision, and
Okay.
that was a really interesting course. And I've also taken a course on computer vision.
Mm-hmm.
It's given by Professor Hyun Suk Park. So he's also a really good professor, and he's also working on really nice things in the field of computer vision. I,
Okay.
I did work with Professor Chang Yu for, I am currently working with him on contributing to his research as well.
Okay. And other than that professor, is there any other professor that university is who might be really famous in the university? It could be because of his teaching style or popularity among student or contribution.
The university has a lot of very famous professors as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's the professor Vipin Kumar is quite famous. He has more than 100 H index, and he's I think H index, I'm not sure, but he's really famous for his work, and a lot of his students have done really nice things and really big research and
Mm-hmm.
contributions to the industry.
Okay.
So yes, definitely. And in fact, his book on data mining is the
Mm-hmm.
one that we used to. It was used by our professors in India to teach
Okay.
us data mining. So yeah,
Okay.
that's
All
true.
right. Now let's talk about your stay. Are you staying on campus or off campus, and how did you find your apartment?
I am staying off campus. With respect to our apartment search, we got a lot of help from our seniors, and
Okay.
in fact, they were so helpful that during the first 2 weeks, when everyone knows that you'll be getting your apartment from September, but most of the students come around last week of August or 15th of August, they have to stay somewhere for 1 or 2 weeks. the seniors created a proper group and they allocated every incoming student to a certain senior so that he can stay with them for 2 or 3 weeks, and they were very accommodating with respect to that.
Okay.
And I am currently staying out of campus, and it's a good experience. We haven't faced any issues as of now, and yeah,
And
it was.
you have, would you like to name any reliable website or ways of finding good apartment in case if a incoming student is not able to get in touch with the existing student?
Uh, I I for me how it worked out was we have so we we are moving to a new apartment
Mm-hmm.
this coming fall, and so what we did in order to search through that was we just simply used Google Maps, and on the map we took an AI and we scroll through all the interesting areas, and maps will be able to give you a good idea about uh, which apartments which of the things in the maps are apartments, and then once
Okay.
you click on it you can get the link directly to the website. Because for
Mm-hmm.
me there are definitely websites which help with the search, but some of them have outdated information, or some of
Okay.
them don't have the contact information for that respective apartments. So
Mm-hmm.
we did have to put in some effort, and I think that was worth it, because we were able to go through a lot of apartments and contact their respective staff and see which apartments are available and for what price and what all utilities they offer. I think it's the
Mm.
old school talking directly to the lease staff
Okay.
is best and works for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Or maybe a student can directly get in touch with you and hire you and get connected,
sure,
in,
sure,
in case they need such help. Now let's
sure.
talk about curriculum. How would you rate your academic pressure and workload in the program on the scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest?
I think it's very dependent on the courses that you take.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the graduate courses are going to be hectic. It's not going to be easy, but it can be very dependent on the number of courses you take that semester and which courses you've taken that semester. So
Mm-hmm.
if I do have to give a rating, I'd say if someone is taking 3 courses in the
Mm-hmm.
very first semester, it can be as hectic as an 8 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And but we can't forget that it's not just the courses. You have to do the courses, you have to find a professor you want to work with, you have to look for an internship, you have to look for
Mm-hmm.
research assistantships, and it all comes down to actually 11 out of 10, because a lot of things you're doing for the
Okay.
first time. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, from course perspective I would say it can be around 10.
Okay. And tell us about the number of hours on an average a student from your program would spend doing their homework, project studies in a week.
It can definitely be around 2 to 3 hours you have to give every day, I would
Okay.
say. Yes. Then apart from classes, and that is also very dependent on the student, the experience you have. There are students
Mm-hmm.
who come with the 2 or 3 years of experience, and they are very uh, they're good with programming, and it's easy for them to go through and understand the problems. But then
Mm-hmm.
there are students who are very new, and for them it can take longer. But you do have to give at least 3 to 4 hours every day, apart from
Okay.
classes.
And tell us about the course structure in your program. If there is something you really like about it, or if something where you feel that it could be made better. So if you can
Uh,
talk a little about it.
there are two things which I'm not sure if they are unique to University of Minnesota, but I did really like about it. Was
Mm-hmm.
one that there are three kinds of paths that you can take. It's called Plan A, Plan B, or Plan C. So essentially, in Plan A, you can do a thesis with a professor, and in
Okay.
Plan B, you can do a project with the professor. And it's a full-fledged project. You do have to do a defense for the project as well. And in Plan
Mm-hmm.
C, you can just focus on the courses. And if you don't want to work with the professor, but focus on more industry-based courses, you can just simply go with the courses and
Mm-hmm.
get a pass out. So I think that kind of that kind of variation and choice is a good to have, so that
Okay.
people, as I mentioned earlier, there can be people who are very focused on research. They can go for the plan A and do thesis, and then there's people
Mm-hmm.
who just come here for to broaden their career perspectives and just want to pass out, graduate as soon as possible. They
Mm-hmm.
can do plan C and just simply finish their degree if they want within 18 months as well.
Okay.
And the other thing that I like is there's a course called Colloquium, where they talk
Mm-hmm.
about, and it's compulsory for every student, every master student to do that course at least once. And so what they do in that is they call one professor or one researcher from different walks
Mm-hmm.
of research that is happening in computer science, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to attend his lecture every week, and then you have to give a report on that, on what the talk was about. So what this
Okay.
does is that it brings you up to date pretty much with a lot of research areas in computer science,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to learn about what interesting work is happening in each area.
Okay.
That is a really nice course.
Okay. And let's talk about the expense that a student has to keep in mind before coming to University of Minnesota for this course. So tell us about the tuition fee for the entire program. And other than tuition fee, what all additional expenses that you incur on housing, food, and transportation?
So the tuition fee comes around $13,000 per semester,
Okay.
but then there's more added expenses for health insurance and sometimes student and services fees. So all in all, it does come around $15,000, and that is without
Mm-hmm.
living expenses. With my living expenses are for me, with my rent and everything. I made a budget of around $700 every month,
Okay.
and for me it's easy to quite easy to follow and stick with that budget. So I think
Okay.
that's a good bar. It can be reduced, and I have friends who manage within $500 $500 per month, with including rent expenses per month income, and around
Okay.
$15,000 for the tuition fee per semester.
Okay. And also tell us about the financial aid in case what kind of financial aid the university provide. And also, other than merit-based scholarship, is there a need-based scholarship that student can apply for?
I think they are there, both merit and need based. It's just I never looked into that because I was able to get research assistantship,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have friends who have done that, but it's definitely there. I remember going through that once, but I don't remember the details.
Okay. And since,
I'm sorry. Can I go get water?
sure, sure, please, please.
One second. Yes, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
No problem. I hope you're okay now. Okay. Now, since you were talking about that getting into TAs and RAs give you some sort of a fee waiver. So is it like your 50% fee waiver, or is there a percentage that, they kind of waive?
There are two types of assistantships.
Mm-hmm.
One is called 25%, where you
Mm-hmm.
are allowed to work for 10 hours per week according to your visa status. And so
Mm-hmm.
for that, you get around 25%, sorry, 50% tuition waiver.
Okay.
So 25% RS assistantship essentially gives you 50% tuition waiver, and 50% assistantship gives you 100% tuition waiver.
Okay. Okay. So that's an awesome thing which your university kind of offers to student. All
Yeah,
right.
it's good.
Now let's talk about your future plans. That what is that you down the line wants to do in next 5 years, and how does career counselors at university and the career center will help you?
So for me, I've realized that I do want to work in the industry, but more of I want to work on challenging things, something which has not been solved.
Mm-hmm.
It's not been done before, and so I want to focus on computer vision, and specifically in the area of robotics, something like in the autonomous driving. So with that respect, I think the university has its own uh, career website, which has been hosted by the career center, and you can always go there and look for openings, and
Okay.
you can sort and filter. Also, you can go and talk to the career center and ask them, because they are very up to date with how the recruitment processes are going and things are going. So
No.
if you might have missed a few companies which are hiring very aggressively. So it's good to go and talk to them, get your resume updated, and then see what they say and what they feel.
Okay. And would you like to name some companies that hire students from your program? Or maybe in general, most of the students from your university?
Uh, with respect to computer science, Amazon is definitely a big company that comes. It doesn't come on campus, but it hires from the aggressively from the campus. There are
Okay.
students who go to Google as well. I I have few seniors in Facebook,
Okay.
and more or less, it's easy to find seniors across all companies.
Okay.
So then you can always go and find a Minnesota professor working in there, and you can just go and ping him and ask him for.
Okay. Now, let us talk about a mistake that you would have made as a student, which you want the future students to avoid. And also, if you have one good advice that you want to give the incoming students.
For me, one mistake I feel I could say was that I didn't do good enough research with respect to some of the colleges. I just went with if the research is good or not, but I didn't go through the financial side of it. So for example, for UPenn, it was a very hard decision to decide between UPenn and Minnesota. But if I had known that UPenn was going to be won't be able to offer me for tuition benefits, I might not have applied. So that was one thing I would say, that do the research properly. Another thing, another advice I would like to give to people is uh, do consider financial constraints, because I have had friends who came for masters because they wanted to switch and work in a different field, but because once they came to masters and they had a lot of experience, they ended up taking back a very similar job which they had in India to get
Okay.
rid of that financial burden. But I would say that if you're spending this much and you're trying to switch paths in your career, plan it properly. If your financial situation allows you, then only take such courses which can be very costly. And if it doesn't,
Okay.
there are plenty of courses which can match your bracket and then still offer what you want. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this was really helpful, Abhinav. I want to tell our viewers that Abhinav is one of the experts on the platform. They can ask him question, connect with him, and hire him in case if they think he would be a right kind of mentor and would be able to guide them throughout the process that they want. So thank you again, Abhinav, for your time,
Sure, no
and
problem.
I wish you all the best and stay safe. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All
You
right.
too.
Thank you. Bye
Take
bye.
care.